personal work will get you work. I started off my world in music in particular, almost by mistake, like having a job just come up on Facebook and then using that first job to essentially get the rest of the jobs when I was at university.
My first ever client was, I was working in a fashion retail store as a fashion assistant, and my boss was like, you like taking pictures? Do you want to take pictures? So then I was like, yeah, cool, that sounds great. So I shot their lookbook. And then from there, I had something to put into my portfolio. And then people can see that I've worked with other people.
And moving away from that, I used everything I learned in those very small, like homegrown clubs to reach out to promoters that I saw online and I found online. And that client relationship is hard to start with, especially if you're moving to a different city. If you haven't got any work before that, it's about reaching out to people like via email or Instagram and showing your work in a very clean, concise way.
When I first started, I found it quite difficult to get clients. I was knocking on loads of different doors, sending emails, not getting responses. And it was definitely a bit of a challenge. But over time, the longer you're in the industry, the longer you realize that you've built relationships through people just by saying hi. Like everyone you talk to, you just never know where they can be. Like someone that you could have assisted or someone that you were working with as whilst you're an assistant, they could suddenly be a photographer, and then that's like another contact. And you can ask them for advice, or they might change jobs, or they might suddenly be a producer now. So like there's lots of different things that you can do. People starting out, I found to be really helpful to secure my first jobs, especially when you do test shoots. Like when you're building a crew, like makeup artists, they don't want to be a photographer. Stylists, they don't want to be a photographer. Like all these people don't want to be a photographer, but they also know how hungry you are because you're both as hungry as each other. So then from there, kind of have a relationship on those people because they've started out with you and they've worked for free with you, and you kind of bring them along to your next job. And then from there, they kind of recommend you to other people and you build that kind of network through that.
People are looking at your work as you post. There's like clients out there that are looking for certain things about what photographers do, and they find them, they use hashtags, and they're really good at researching on the work you make.
It's quite difficult to get the big jobs. And I'd say that the reason why I've managed to secure these jobs is possibly because of my web presence and constantly just posting stuff and communicating to people on socials.
It may not look like it, and you may not look like you're not getting any views or any likes, but in my case, I went from getting covered in Carling in Leicester Square in 2020 to 4 years later photographing the main campaign for the England team. And that's through the work, my personal work I'd done, which at the time seemed really fun, but I wasn't getting paid. I was just walking around Leicester Square dripping in really cheap alcohol. To then fast forward 4 years later, I'm directing Jude Bellingham on how to stand and where to put his hands on my camera, and I'm like, is this real?
Ultimately, the best way to secure your dream job would be, you just need to always be available. Like if someone needs you, you need to be there. I was actually a nanny, and that was really crucial because it allowed me to be really flexible during the day. Obviously, not everyone knew about that. And I had to kind of like balance everything. But I think definitely making sure that you have a job that's really flexible so that you can pop out and do a shoot. Having that availability is so crucial to ensuring that you're gonna secure that dream job. So these are things that can really help you get into the industry and be as flexible as possible. And some people will be like, I don't want to hire someone that's not committed to me. It's actually really hard. But I think if you're quite frank at the beginning, then you don't feel as bad when you want to take a holiday randomly.
My top tips for getting clients are share your work, no matter how big or small. Photograph things that interest you, whether that's your family, whether that's things in your religion or your culture. cars, photograph things and share it out. Find people online that are doing the same thing as you and follow them and see who they like and follow them. And then share your work, reach out to people that are doing similar things from you and saying, hey, this is what I do. Just be honest and enthusiastic.
As much as it is about your clients, it's also about you and being yourself, so they connect with you as a person. They don't see it as a transaction. Yes, we're getting paid to do a job, but if you love what you do, it's never ever going to feel like transactional. You want to actually get to know them. What is your story? Why do you even want me to photograph this journey for you?
If you want to have a good relationship with the people that you have worked with already, I would say the most important thing is like that relationship with work was positive. In the sense of like it was pleasant, you deliver on time. What is important is like at the end the client was happy with what they pay and what they got.
Making mistakes with clients is something you are going to do, and it's okay. It's about how you navigate yourself through it. So for example, say you promise your clients that the pictures will be ready in 2 weeks, but you have now gone over that 2 weeks. It's communication. Communicate with your client constantly, because then they feel like they're connected to you, they feel like they're on the journey. They're not going to feel like, oh, you just took my money and then disappeared.
So you show the client that you are still very willing to fix things and to move forward with them.
When it comes to more difficult clients, it's actually okay to say, I don't think I'm the right photographer for you. Being self-employed or being photographers or working for freelancers, working for yourself, running your own business, you feel like every single client that comes through the door, you have to take them. And I've had a client before where she wanted me to do a maternity shoot, and what she wanted, it was like, yeah, I don't think I'm the right photographer for you. And she actually responded back with, yeah, I don't think you are either. Like, I've actually started looking for more, and that's okay.
In the case that maybe the relationship was bumpy, things didn't go well, but it's a client that you don't want to lose somehow because you think that there's potential still for fixing that relationship. I think it's really important to come back to them with humility and humbleness about like, if it was your fault, which things you think it didn't work well on your side, or if it was their side, which things you think that they didn't work well on their side, but you still are very keen to fix it one way or another and carry on working with them. I think like sometimes getting an email from a person that is like very honest about, about the craft and their job is like, it's really important. It goes a long way.
We want the client to have the best, and we want to have the best as well. With dealing with clients, it's definitely important to have boundaries of knowing what stuff you will do and what you won't do. And it's okay, like we have our terms and conditions in our contract for a reason.
Top tips for creating a good relationship with clients. Definitely be nice on shoots, and when you're talking to them, don't approach them with a big ego that doesn't go anywhere. Be fun to work with. You can be the best photographer in the world, but normally people want to work with nice people.
Finding new clients to cold email, it's a skill.
It's very hard to start with, and it's very hard to get used to. And it's almost selling yourself, selling your project or your idea in a paragraph and sending it off into the abyss and not hearing back until 2-3 weeks later, or a day later, or an hour later. It's something that you learn to get used to.
I will put something related to the project I'm about to show, so you don't mislead the person.
Definitely have visuals as the lead. Maybe put your pronouns in there.
And then send it off. And there's so many different elements or factors that can lead you getting a job or can lead you getting ignored. It takes time, but it's all about practice and being quite honest and concise with the people you want to get in contact with and the stories you want to shoot.
So as a starting place, LinkedIn is amazing and it's free to use. It tells you who is in marketing at which companies, when brands move from one place to another, because definitely the account manager's celebrating it on LinkedIn. Be to the point, be polite and professional, and be informed about who they are, where they work, what kind of stuff they are commissioning, whether that just inform the fact that you attach a footer that is themed to a different sector than you would normally. It will all help inform your brand and how they visually digest you. And the most important one is to make sure that you practice these emails first to a friend or family member, to make sure that the links work, to make sure that the footer is the right size and that it can be viewed on a screen, on a phone, that it doesn't corrupt because it's too big. Just practice it first.